Ats and Steph are off to Manchester, and they find a lot of problems on the way. Find out more here on AfterBuzz TV.
I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
What's up, bruvs? That's always going to be my introduction, but how are you? How is everyone? You are watching Top Boy Season 1, Episode 7, The Squeeze. Yes, y'all. I'm your girl, Zakia, and I could not be here without my lovely co-host.
Can I be an assistant? I feel like you were about to say lovely assistant. Without my lovely assistant, as if this was about to be a magic trick right now.
Dun dun.
You saw me in half.
What's your magic?
My magic is being ashamed of Dushane for letting Donovan get killed like his mom is. Ooh! Shots fired, literally. Too soon.
Wait, bop, bop, bop. Oh.
Bop.
There we go. I tried to do it. I couldn't. That's why. You did it. He's great at it. But guys, we want to talk everything about Top Boy. We have so much in store. We see Jamie's on top. Dushane has some family troubles. Ats and Steph are in Manchester, and so much more with our special segments and everything. And you know our special segment is super poppin'. We talk about Top Boy Lingo and everything is such. But again, we gotta dive right in. I love everything about Drake. Tehran, he says he was a kingpin in his past life.
I never said that. You said that. I said allegedly.
Allegedly, but allegedly is technically the same thing.
Technically, it's not. Allegedly is actually part of our Fifth Amendment, and it reserves me the right to not incriminate myself.
And he knows a lot about law and crime as well, as you guys can see.
Allegedly.
He's a very intelligent man, and he doesn't want to admit it. I don't know why. But we're here, and we want to talk about so much Top Boy today. So what were your overall thoughts about this episode?
Well, my overall thoughts about episode 7, The Squeeze, I enjoyed, again, as we delve deeper into this story, especially coming off of Donovan being shot at the end of last episode to the after effects. I'm glad that they did not just scathe over it as if it did not happen. It is clearly very consequential. It plays a big part on Dushane and his psyche and his family interaction, which is such a big deal. I'm glad that everything we learn in Top Boy is that every action has an opposite and often equal, if not more, reaction. And that is key in the underworld.
Definitely. I'm in total agreement with you. What I enjoyed about this episode, The Squeeze, was I started really looking at the visuals on Top Boy. Honestly, I started really getting into it because it's a strong message behind some of the visuals that they take before like the actors actually start speaking. I think my favorite was when it first started out. It was like Jamie looking over at the Phil Summer House every last game, and it was like at that point you knew Jamie was the boss. And it was such a strong message that resonated with me. But I think now that I'm getting really into Top Boy, like I'm looking beyond like what everyone is saying. I'm starting to look at the visuals. I'm starting to look at the way they position the camera. Maybe it's like my creative mind, but it says a lot. Like this story is so much in every episode, so I feel like we have to be in tune with also what they say, but also what's happening around them, because even when like bad things happen, the city and the projects keep going, and it's so crazy to me to keep seeing that. And I'm like, dang, like the man got shot and everybody is still at the gas station just like, oh, let me pump my gas. So I think that was something that I really took away from this episode, just continues to like look at the storyline but also look at the visuals.
Yeah, and definitely cinematically Top Boy is amazing. The way that we see the camera adds an extra character to every single scene. The way it's shot, the angles which we are paying attention to, each and every character, each color differentiation between them all, and even locations have a different feel to them. There's a grittiness to the way it's shot, and I enjoy that very much as well.
Yeah, for sure. So speaking of the first scene, we saw Jamie, and which is obviously my favorite scene because I keep talking about it, but he's looking over Summer House, and we feel like he's on top. Now, in this scene, he basically is about to leave. He's fleeing. what were your thoughts about him leaving? Does it seem like he never underestimated Dushane and Sully, I don't believe. From my perspective, what was your perspective of him actually leaving his home and hiding out, basically?
He's going to war. This is a term which we see in the mafia called going to the mattresses, in which you realize an oncoming war is about to ensue, and in order to protect the civilians, those around you that are not in the life, you leave your establishment and or your place of residence, and you get into a hideout. It's not about leaving, it's not about hiding, it's about protecting, and he's protecting the ones he loves the most.
You're completely right, especially with the protecting aspect, because we see he installs the cameras. Like, he's really adamant about watching everything that happens within his home and having his brothers go home and and only go to school and come back home and not doing anything else. But do you think that he should have at least told Aaron and Steph, well, at least Aaron, like, what was going on? Because Aaron obviously wanted to know, and I think for his own safety, he should have known. But Jamie was basically adamant about not giving any more instructions as far as what's happening behind the scenes, to the reason why that Aaron should be so cautious.
No, he shouldn't have told Aaron. And there's a thing called plausible deniability, in which I, as the assailant or as the aggressor, do not tell the people that I love certain information so that A, it cannot be used against them in a court of law. Once you are privy to the knowledge, you are now an accomplice. He's protecting Aaron once more. Secondly, he is also compartmentalizing his life, in which he is differentiating between his personal home life and his criminal outward life. And he is keeping composure as it comes to his home life because of the level of love and respect that he wants his siblings to have for him as their father figure, as their brother figure, as their home taker.
And I agree with you to a certain extent. And I do see where you're saying, like, he's protecting them, because if they were ever to be questioned by the police or anything, they wouldn't have any knowledge, and it'll be just like, I'd never seen anything, I was never involved. But at the end of the day, now it's bigger than just like you're selling drugs on the block. Someone is actually after you. And as we see, this game it doesn't play fair. So now that they're after you, they're after your family. And I feel like he's putting Aaron and Steph in fire by not telling them, what's going on, by not saying these are the people you should be wary about, and be wary about everyone. The reason why is because this is happening. I think he owes Aaron at least a little bit more for Aaron to really understand the problems that are happening, and him to not be so like, just go with the flow type of, oh, he'll be back, as just something minor, because it's not minor at this point. It's huge.
Sure. However, involving civilians has been something that is very heinous, even in the criminal underworld, to the point where when the Colombian mafia were doing so in the 80s with the drug wars that were happening in Miami, it was absolutely unheard of. The mafia, who was the predominant crime factor, especially on the East Coast and in New York, were the ones who instilled this rule in which you would not go after family members, women or children, and people who were not involved. If that was the case, then bloodshed would ensue. Even in the Top Boy world, no one thinks to go after Steph, even though Steph is in close proximity to Jack. No one is specifically after Steph. Steph's life is not in danger. Jack has not kidnapped Steph and said, tell us where your brother is or we will kill you. That would be unheard of. It would actually basically be the degradation of all things that are this rules to the underworld. It exists. There is honor amongst thieves.
I think that's right. You're right. I do remember the scene in Summer House, like one of the first series, where Sully and Dushane made a mistake by kidnapping one of their rival's cousin who wasn't in the game at all, and I think they were just gonna scare him, but they end up killing him by like placing him in a trunk. I can't remember like the full details of everything that happened, but I think after that by killing someone so innocent that wasn't a roadman, they felt really bad. So I do see Dushane and Sully.
They didn't just feel bad. The other people involved also looked at them as if that was the most unnecessary and also heinous of actions. No one respected that they did that at all. That's not how this game is played, which is why when you are in the game, then they also don't expect the opposite, where you go and snitch or tell the police or you become an informant. You have married yourself to the game. However, if you haven't introduced yourself to the game, then you should be off limits. No one is going after Sully's child, who, by the way, is easily accessible. She goes to school. They could easily go and snatch her. We know that they know where she is, and yet no one's going after Dushane's mother,
Right.
who's in the hospital. That is off limits. Everyone knows and understands this.
For now. So we know who's not playing a part in this heinous crime is the guys Sugar and his crew from Jamaica, which is now Dushane's suppliers. They actually killed his cousin, and he threatened him at the end, saying, I'll kill your mom, I'll kill everyone, we're going to kill everyone if you don't have our money. So they're technically, and I think like maybe the suppliers is a higher up from like the streets, exactly, because they don't abide by any rules. It's like anybody.
Well, that's because Sugar is a horrible person.
Yeah.
Sugar is not someone we are peacefully in a relationship with. This is a person who has horrifically placed himself in this position and is known to be a violent force. No one respects Sugar. Everyone is afraid of him. Once again, it's the differentiation between leadership abilities and Jamie's leadership abilities, which he commands and demands respect from all those by taking action the right way.
Yeah. The fear that Sugar is installing and his crew is installing in Dushane is becoming very effective in Dushane's psychiatric, as he always says. This is like completely not my words, but it is taking an effect on Dushane in terms of his mom no longer wants to speak to him. His mom is kind of shunning him. Do we see this being a problem for Dushane to continue in the process, to continue with this war? Like, it seems like he's giving up. Did you see that from Dushane?
Dushane definitely has his concerns with the war. It does seem like he's losing, and it's pointed out to him. Jamie's in charge. People are actually inferring to Dushane that he needs to make pace. In fact, he was against Sully enacting this war.
Yeah.
So Dushane isn't resolved to the war completely. He also knows the toll that wars take, and he does not know if he's prepared to take this, especially since he's being attacked by many different angles. He has Sugar on his back. He has Jamie. He has Sully's anger that seems to be uncontrollable. A lot of things are happening for Dushane.
Yeah, for sure. Especially the fact that his cousin is gone, his innocent cousin, who they killed right in front of him over FaceTime. And that happened in the last episode. But it trickles down into this episode because it's affecting Dushane. And I do feel like Dushane is eventually going to not care about what is going on in the war. As we saw, like, he's basically given up. His whole entire mental is drained. I mean, this entire season he has been walking around pretty sluggish, pretty just going by, just doing what he has to do to get by for that day. But it seems like at this point, with his cousin being gone, his mom, and these are the only people that's close to him, his mom really not having any respect for him. The only person that is trying to console him is his newfound love. But at this point, it doesn't seem like he has any hope for anything else. I do see that aspect of him trickling down. But I do want to reach on more of the Ats and Steph characters, because we see that these boys are now transforming in front of our eyes. Ats is getting more responsibility. Steph is he's surprisingly hard to me. Like, he's very quiet. He's a listener. I don't think anything about Steph is really I don't see him as being a soft character. I see him as being a very wary and character, and just being aware of his surroundings, and maybe he gets that trait from Jamie. But they head off to Manchester. What were your thoughts of Jack setting them up in Manchester? Because they all did a good job at it. Is that something that should have been done, or should they not have scared them like that? They're little boys.
Clearly, they should have not involved Ats and Steph into their plans. However, I can understand where Jack came to this sensibility. It is a ace in the hole to have Ats and therefore access to Steph in her pocket, and she's obviously planned this out very well. Sends the two kids to to Manchester, they're scared out of their minds. But if you see, Steph is the one who keeps his composure in a lot of circumstance. Steph is also very wary, but let's not be too earnest. Steph has had a lot to deal with, the death of both his parents. He's also a sponge because he is a child. He is around Jamie. He is Jamie's child after all. If we remember, Jamie explains that his father was someone who also commanded respect and everyone would listen when he spoke, was not a scary person. So here we have Steph acting much more like Jamie than we realize, but he is still a youth. He's still a child and is, of course, going to be a child when it comes down to it. These are grown men.
Yeah.
And it's not okay. However, once again, when you join up for the life, expect the life.
Yeah, at first I was sort of wary for Jack to give them such a big task, to give Ats a big task. But when I realized the task was rigged, basically, and it was just to see his reaction, how he would act. Basically, they made it seem like he lost the money or the bag and someone stole it, but it was actually them coming and stealing the bag, and they were like, what happened, explain it. And they were very, very convincing, but I feel like it was a smart business move, because if you actually give kids this amount of whatever, drugs or money, and you have them go somewhere and they actually really did lose it, it would be a problem. So you kind of put them on their toes all the time. In a sense of little boys, I feel like that was messed up. Now they're scared out of their minds. They're children, and now you have them eating out of your palm, which is obviously a move that Jack wanted to do, because she set the entire thing up, and as did Dushane and everyone else. I think they all were in on it. I think this is something that is done all the time. It's sort of like, let's just put them at this task and let them eat out of our hands afterwards. But it was very bold of Jack too, because now you also have Steph, who is Jamie's brother, and if he finds out, that's a problem, you know? So I think it was bold, because I would be afraid of Jamie.
I think Jamie definitely deserves respect and definitely has earned the fear of his rivals. I am surprised that it went so well. When it comes to having children involved, anything can happen. We don't know. What if Steph was carrying just because he was afraid of what might happen, so he carried? Then guess what? A shooting would have occurred, because children are not as aware of consequences of their actions as adults are. That's the concept. That's why they're prosecuted with much less authority. That is the case. They're not aware of the consequences. So it did go well, at least for Jack, and Jack did get exactly what she wanted out of the situation, which is Ats and Steph technically are now both within her debt.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I know a debt that we never have to pay, because why would we? Because it's the love that we do, and we give love to all of you, and that's at AfterBuzz TV. Could you tell them why?
That's right, bruvs. This is AfterBuzz TV, isn't it? And if you love watching these shows as much as we do, we appreciate each and every one of you who comment below. Subscribe, share, like, spread the word, share the love. Let your friends know this is, after all, the best Top Boy after show on the planet. That's not my opinion. That's all of you. And you are at home, if not as much, more so a part of this panel than each and every one of us. We appreciate each and every comment. If you're listening to us on iTunes, give us that 5 stars we so greatly deserve. And thank you so much for continuing to help make us be the ESPN of TV talk.
Boom, guys. He said it best. I can't even say it as well as him, because he's so great. Sometimes you got to give them their credit. But he is so great. And I know who is great, like a dynamic that is, I want to say so great, but it's a supplier and Jamie. So they've done something again.
Lizzie has continued to involve herself physically with Jamie, even though taking away that emotional responsibility and saying, I don't want a emotional relationship whatsoever, and also saying each time this is the last time it's going to happen. Right.
Is she in denial? I feel like she's in denial. You keep saying, especially when he was on his way out the door, you're like, oh, where are you going? And then you have sex with this man, and then you push him away.
Sure, Jamie's youth and energy is very attractive. I don't think we see anything different than what happens a lot of times with men in a reverse situation with women. If this was a man doing something like this, you would completely understand it. But because Lizzie is a woman, we are under the impression that women cannot differentiate between physical attachment and emotional attachment. That means they have to have sex with love. That is not the case at all. Lizzie is just interested in Jamie's youth, vigor, energy. I'm sure she's being sexually satisfied by Jamie in some manner. Jamie's obviously a young bull in her mind. She's an older woman. She's enjoying herself, but she doesn't want to give up any emotional necessities to Jamie. She doesn't want to be with him. She doesn't have any feelings of love. She is married, and whether happily or not, she's not going to give up the security of her marriage for this young, vigorous man.
Right. And I do agree with that. I just think that Lizzie is setting up a problem between her and Jamie. She's setting up a future problem because her one statement that really took me in awe was when she said, "You're good at two things. Having sex and selling drugs." And the face that Jamie made, and the face that I made when she said it, I felt like you basically dehumanized him. And she keeps doing that to me. She keeps dehumanizing Jamie to a point. Even the last episode, there's so much that happens. You sometimes have to refer back. But even the last episode, she was like, "Oh, like what happened to your mom? Oh, was your dad never involved in your life?" She kind of always hints that he has these urban problems that you will believe will always happen to urban individuals, and this is why they sell drugs. And she dehumanizes him, and she kind of puts him down a lot. And I feel like once Jamie possibly sees what she's doing, he might have a problem with this. He might turn on her because at the end of the day, you're good at one thing, supplying drugs. So once I knock you out of the picture, what will I need you for? But that's just my interpretation. Did you have any other interpretation of this?
I think it's interesting that we always give it a racial connotation when people are saying this. Mm-hmm. Lizzie comes from a very similar criminal background. Even more so than Jamie. She's used to it. She even explains her brothers all sold drugs and what happened to her brothers. So I think that it's not that she thinks that Jamie's urban or black and therefore this is what happened. It's because this is what happened in the neighborhoods that she grew up with. If there was a person whose mother died, the father was typically not around. So, and people who go into the criminal world, this is what she believes. I don't think it has to do specifically with race. She's never brought up the race factor in the past, and I don't remember her bringing it up in this situation either.
Yeah.
Even when she basically, in a way, is degrading Jamie, it's very akin to what a male drug dealer would do to his subordinates as well. You are just a piece of meat. I'm going to pour champagne on you in this video. I'm going to throw dollar bills on you in this video.
So I think the problem is, because I didn't say anything about race either. So I said that she is dehumanizing him, which she is. She's basically looking at him as a check or...
Well, when you say urban problems, we all know what the term urban means.
No, that's not true.
What does urban night mean?
I'm saying urban...
What does urban night mean?
I'm saying urban... So for the content that we're speaking in, it's different for Western thoughts and then like UK thoughts. So I'm speaking of Top Boy in general. They have different areas that are urban. They're very much more integrated than we are. So I think we, like in the Western, always think of it like that. But for them, it's a totally different like aspect and dynamic. So that's why I said urban and not like black and white, because for them it is different. But I still think she is dehumanizing him. She's taking away the fact that he's actually a boy or a man and saying that you're only good for this. Like you're a robot. I think that will cause a problem between their dynamic, because if he keeps feeling that way, because it's like if you keep slapping me in the face, I'm obviously gonna like, and that was really violent, but if you keep hitting me or poking me, I'm gonna poke you back one day.
She's not poking him. She's setting a rule. She's setting a boundary. She's setting a border. She's saying, this is what it is. It is nothing more. Do not get it in your head that it is something more. It's a very simple line. People do this all the time, and even though you're condemning her for her attitude, I'm actually commending her for her honesty. She's not trying to confuse him. And a lot of people would love to be in that situation where their partner was very upfront with them and said, this is what it is. I'm sure a lot of women would like that if a man was honest and didn't try to exacerbate a situation by giving her false feelings. She's not doing this. She is stating what it is. If he likes it, he can do it. If he doesn't, he can stop. Their business affairs is a transaction, and to be very honest, it's extremely mutually beneficial. Those bags of money that he's bringing back, he's not suffering without his own bags of money. He's making the most money he ever has, and now he's getting sex out of it. And Jamie has brought up the point that he probably has not been as sexually active as he would have liked in this period in time in his life, even though we know he could be because of his home life. So here he's getting that out of it. Now, do I think that it's fair? It is fair because she's telling him the truth. It's not nice, but it's true. And as far as the integration of London society, let's not forget that there have been several times that on this show specifically, the racial connotations have been brought up. We have racial problems, which are very much still part of the society in London, even though London is a very integrated culture.
Right. I agree. But again, I think we're going to agree to disagree on this one. I think that there are aspects that I'm talking about that are true, and then maybe they are with you, but that's just me. But I know something that we can't agree on, and that's Leyton being a snake. At this point, he's talking to Cornell, and he's trying to set up Jamie. And so Jamie sends out his troops and basically gives Leyton a message that ends up with Leyton dead. Do you believe that maybe Jamie should have made that shot and not sent out everyone else? And is this going to pose a problem in future episodes?
I think Leyton's a great guy, and I'm kidding. He's a snake. So here's the thing about Leyton. Leyton obviously is about to be taught this lesson. Lizzie is a huge influence on Jamie. She's fulfilling this mother role that Jamie is clearly lacking. It's a psychological it's definitely a psychological complex that Jamie has that we're seeing get played out. Lizzie even brings it up. However, in this situation, Leyton is being taught a lesson. Jamie cannot do it himself. He should have done it himself. He did not because of the constraints of time. Something more important came up. He sent his troops. They went and did it. Do I think that it presents a problem? No. I think Leyton's death will present a solution.
Yeah, so I kind of disagree. I think the death of Leyton is going to pose a problem because of the simple fact of what if people get a hold, like what if someone else turns in the group and they're like, no, like we actually killed Leyton, or someone else knows like what happened, or how are they going to respond back to Modi? What about Tremaine? Is he going to be looking for Leyton? And Tremaine is a key aspect to Modi.
Where is Modi again?
Modi's in jail.
Where's Tremaine?
I don't really know
exactly.
where he is.
So we don't know why they play this part, right? So Modi's still locked up. Tremaine is Modi's lackey, the way Leyton was.
But Tremaine goes around Leyton a lot.
Sure, but it's easy to say that Leyton was killed by Dushane. If anything, you have a plan B, you have a plan C. So, because Leyton's death actually causes more solutions than it does problems, Leyton was just in the way. Leyton was a problem. When Jamie was simply going to punish Leyton, I was like, no, you have to kill him. And he ended up dead. It is the will of the gangster gods.
What? Well, I think Leyton, I think he didn't deserve to die, but I do believe that Leyton
He definitely deserved to die.
He was a snake. He was for sure a snake, and he did need to be taught a lesson, but
he needed to die.
Yeah. But we realized someone who did die another death, and Sully came to the realization that the Zets or ZTs. Yes, ZTs.
That's how Z is pronounced in everywhere else but the United States. Everyone says Z.
Right. Okay. So the ZTs, they are
zero tolerance, bruv.
Yes, they are simply ruthless, and I think Sully underestimated them. We see him riding around, and then finally when he couldn't find anyone, and they found him. His partner got shot in the head, close range. That was crazy to me. And the face that Sully had was definitely like, yo, I underestimated these youths.
They are both Dushane has underestimated Jamie. Sully is underestimating their capacity to take over. And what it is they're not remembering how they were at that age or at that time. Right. ZTs are doing nothing that Dushane and Sully were not themselves capable and contributing to. So to me, it's interesting that they are underestimating themselves. However, I hope Jamie does not make the same mistake and underestimate Dushane and Sully.
Yeah, because I see this as a turning point. Because Sully now, he's like not even for the games anymore.
It's twice. He's missed his shot twice. If once an attack on Sully was made, you have to kill Sully.
Yeah. And
you also have to kill Dushane. You have to.
Right.
They have to go. In fact, more people need to die. Modi needs to die. Leyton needed to die. Dushane needs to die. Sully needs to die. Drees actually does not need to die because he does play a back role, but Jack needs to die. A lot of people need to die.
And we're
if
talking
you're in
from
Jamie's
a business,
position.
this position of and Jamie. I think that Jamie knows that if you have so many deaths, that is gonna be a problem for him to get money in the end. And I feel like Jamie also. It seems like he looks up to Dushane. Why does he want to kill him right away? I do see Jamie caring.
You feel like Jamie looks up to Dushane?
A little bit, because I feel like he knows that he's one of the top dogs. I think he knows that I can get Dushane under me rather than killing him.
Sure, it's a business move if Dushane would work for him, but now at this point, it's no longer a viable option. He has to kill Dushane.
Yeah, that's
true. In fact, he needs to pull. There's a scene from The Godfather in the first one where Michael Corleone has all of his enemies killed at the exact same time in order to prevent further outbursts. That is what needs to happen on Jamie's behalf.
Yeah, and it's simply said that the ZTs have way more soldiers. They are very loyal and compliant. They're gonna do whatever Jamie says. So it possibly could be a fact that they all die at once. That Sully goes and Dushane goes, and everyone else in Summer House that is not compliant or do not want to comply with Jamie will go. What we did see is that Sully and Dushane had a heart-to-heart. And that's the part where I said that Dushane seemed like he was losing himself, and he's like, what's the point of all of this? And it was so funny because the first time we watched this, Sully and Dushane were basically at odds, and now they're continuously, after all these mishaps and things that are happening, is drawing them closer together. What do you think about this heart to heart? Like, Sully really pushed Dushane into the direction of like, no, we're not gonna be done with this. They don't have heart. That was my favorite part. Like, he's basically like, these young people, they don't have heart. We have the heart. We have what they don't have, which is the heart. What are your thoughts?
I think Sully convinces Dushane that he has the heart. I don't think he has the heart. I think they have the experience, and that's a bigger play. When it comes to heart, Jamie, clearly the ZTs are the ones showing all the heart. Mm-hmm. Sully and Dushane are showing experience. The move with Jack and Ats and Steph was experience. That was the Dushane plan. Clearly came together properly. The move with Sully just going into the streets, that's just stupidity. There needs to be a reason. This is the thing about the game. Do not take it personal. It's not personal. It's just business.
Yeah, and I think that Sully really realizes, because he says that what else would we be if we weren't in the streets? And I think that Dushane has to detach himself from, and unfortunately, his family and his loved ones. And Sully has already done that. Sully has no one. So he's already detached. But Dushane has to now further detach himself in order for them to thrive. They're not gonna save their loved ones if they don't detach.
I agree. I think that we need to understand, if it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. Mm-hmm. And we need, for Dushane, he is the Shelley component is making him soft. The mother in the Donovan situation is making him soft. He needs to toughen up or toughen out.
Yeah, and I think it is sad that he has to lose the loved ones or not have their love. But when you're playing with fire, you can't just go in with a little bit of water and try to put it out. Like, you have to honestly either create more fire to the point that it burns everything and it benefits you, or put out everything. If that makes any sense to anyone. I thought in my head it did. But the conversation that he had with Donovan said, is it worth the squeeze? I think before Donovan died, Dushane said Donovan kept saying, is it worth the squeeze? And I feel like, is it, Dushane, worth you losing? Like, is this game worth you losing your loved ones? Is it worth you not ever really settling with anyone, not ever being at peace? Is it? I don't think it is. I think you should stop, but now you're so deep in that you can't stop. But I think that this isn't something that would be worth it. I think in the end, one thing is going to happen. You're going to win this war, and it's going to be another war, or you're going to die in this one. What are your thoughts?
It's a good way to put it.
And also, I think Dushane underestimated Sugar, because Sugar knows his entire family. So I think Dushane has a lot to lose. And
well, Sugar also threatened Shelley's daughter,
who
Dushane is growing close to, and so that's the next casualty.
Could you see that happening? Like him
Yeah, of
actually
course.
wow.
Sugar, of course. Sugar would kill everyone. That's the whole reputation Sugar has that he's based it on. He's a very hardened criminal. I think Dushane has to do a Jamie move where Dushane has to kill everybody.
Yeah, I think Dushane has to kill everybody and that his whole supplier and everybody.
But then, of course, it affects his supply, so I don't know how that's going to play out for
He
him.
can find another supplier. He has to kill them.
It's very difficult to find a supplier, especially on that magnitude. It's not
I
easy.
know.
The only other supplier would be Jamie.
Oh, God. That would be
And
horrible.
I don't think Dushane would ever be able to swallow his pride enough to work for Jamie. That's just not how it works.
Right. Oh my gosh, Top Boy gives me anxiety every time we talking about it, but I know what is super fun. It's our special segment, Top Boy Lingo.
Top Boy Lingo. That's right. This week's word is going to be calm. Whenever they say it's calm, bruv, it just means it's cool. Something less agitated. Calm down. It's a widely used phrase. Of course, it's also a slang word. Where does it come from? Sure, we borrowed it from the French at the heat of the day, but it is made popular in 2014 with tracks like Calm Down and Busta Rhymes and Eminem. And more importantly, in that Caribbean English where there's a keep calm, it's calm, everything's calm is the concept of everything's cool, peaceful, at rest. So the show is calm, bruv.
Everything's calm, bruv. And again, so our special segment, we bring to you Top Boy Lingo, words that we learn from Top Boy, and we describe them and have you play with them. So if you've seen any Top Boy Lingo or heard of any, please comment below. We would love to shout you out or, feature one of your favorite Top Boy Lingos. Let's go on to the news and gossip because I have so much to talk about, guys. So here we are. We have saw that Drake, everyone knows I love Drake, but he was involved in this series of Top Boy. And there is a documentary if you guys want to learn more and watch more how everything got back together and how the reboot basically happened. Here's a little snippet of it. It's so good.
Top Boy was different. From the very first cut, I suppose, of the first episode, I knew this was something special. And then we were cancelled. Anyway, it was dead. It was gone. That was it. And then this fella called Drake got in touch.
Everybody's been quite excited to know that Drake is involved in the show.
He came to the first read-through, and the minute he walked into the room, the kids just went, wow.
I just want to express how happy this room makes me right here, The show meant the world to me. I wish you the best, I'm sure we'll be all together again when we're winning awards or talking about how successful. Anyway, thank you so much.
For me and Ashley in particular, it was more of a, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening again. Being in a room like that makes it seem very official. This is definitely happening. And to hear those words on their feet, just knowing you're about to get stuck in a couple weeks' time or whatever. Yeah, it was a real moment.
So what we're going to do is create a show, essentially the same show that we would have created before, but it's now in a climate where everyone's going to be able to consume it.
Doesn't that just make you so happy?
And while we're on that subject, happy birthday to my boy Drake Drizzy OVO. Had a great time at Goya Studios. Thank you so much for inviting me. The whole crew had fun and enjoyed being part of that celebration. October's very own.
Yes, I heard he had a 1920s themed birthday party.
He did.
I didn't get the invite, but I'm sure it probably
It was lost.
Me.
It was lost
Yeah,
in the
it
mail.
was
He actually
lost.
told me, he's like, hey, is Zakiya coming? And I was like, oh, no, she probably really busy.
Yeah, so Drake, I forgive you. I know that you meant to give me my invite. I'm close to your home, so next year, or maybe one of your concerts, I'll come backstage. Just let me know whenever you need me. I'll be there.
I was there, so.
He meant
great.
to send me one too,
No.
but
No.
But guys, honestly, that warmed my heart. I mean, even to watch that video, I literally had chills because it meant so much for the former cast and the new cast to come in and for their show to be rebooted. And I think that was so precious. And to be rebooted from someone like Drake, someone everyone loves. So I love it. I love the love. I felt it. So yeah, It was so great. But we love everything about Top Boy. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun. I love Top Boy. Do you love Top Boy? Gotta dance. You gotta dance. You gotta dance, 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 dance.
You can find me on social media at I am Tehran all across the board. That's IAMTEHRAN. And of course, hosting and paneling on a slew of other AfterBuzz after shows because your favorite TV shows are my favorite TV shows too. In fact, I will be talking so much Watchmen right up next.
Yes, yes, yes. And you can find me at ZakiaW_. Loving everything about Top Boy. We only have a few episodes left, so make sure you stay tuned. I am going to be working on Marriage Bootcamp Family Edition, so stay tuned for that tonight. But again, we love all of you and see you soon.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.